Yo, ladies and gents, Booma here, and welcome back to another Rocket League tutorial. Today we're going to be learning the Kuxir pinch. This is one of the deadliest ways to score back in the day, and I still think it's one of the best ways to score to this day. I use this to score all the time in my games, so without further ado, let's get right into how to do this mechanic. I think this mechanic is still very dangerous to this day just because I feel like nobody expects it. Most of the time when people see you rolling the ball to the wall like this, they expect you to go for a solo play, and then all of a sudden it's just like in the net. It's one of my favorite ways to like punish people for pushing up too far or not closing the space fast enough, but it is also one of the best ways you can have a counter-attack transition, and it works in any game mode. It works in 1v1, it works in 2v2, and obviously you guys have seen Kuxir scoring these in 3v3 and RLCS. And for those of you guys that follow me on TikTok, you guys would know that I score these in 1v1 all the time. There was one of my TikToks that I posted of me scoring 3 Kuxirs in the same game on the same player. I think what's funny about this mechanic too is I feel like people don't realize you can actually aim a Kuxir pinch. And it really just depends on how you set it up and what part of the car you're using, what part of the ball you're hitting. But yeah, let's get in. So let's get into these simple steps of the Kuxir pinch. I think that one of the most important things that people kind of forget is where the ball should be on the wall. And I think like right on this Rocket League barrier or right above it is like a perfect height for where the ball should be. So timing wise, this is ideally where you want to be pinching the ball right here. So this will be step 1. Step 2 is the actual pinch part of the shot. So in terms of orientation of how your car should look, we're going to be starting on the left wall because this is what was comfortable for me when I first learned this. This is the very first, I guess, quote-unquote mechanic that I learned in this game. And it's not really a mechanic. Like a pinch shot is not really a mechanic, but you guys know what I mean. So the left wall, you're going to want to air roll left. You can use a directional. I don't know if you guys want to use free. But I ideally just practice like this. Like this is how I first started, right? I would just fly my car like this into this part of the wall. And it is a flip cancel that you're doing. You're doing a front flip cancel. So pretty easy for step number. Step 3 is to practice rolling the ball, right? So get some speed, let it roll up. And then it's all about timing the actual part of the pinch, right? I also would like to talk about the mistakes I see when I watch people Kuxir pinch. Most of the time I'll see somebody Kuxir to like the ceiling or whatever. And usually if you're Kuxing like to the ceiling, that means you're either rolling the ball too high, like your timing for when you should be pinching is not correct, or you are not orienting the car so that the ball pinches out and off the wall towards the net, right? I feel like another mistake that I see is people have a floppy flip cancel. So it kind of looks like this. So they're not like pushing their stick through the pinch. You need to be flip canceling hard enough so that your car is very stiff when you do this flip cancel, right? Oh, sorry about that. If I flip cancel too hard, because my reset shot in free play is to click the left stick, it resets the shot. But yeah, there you go. So you want your car to be very, very stiff when you do this flip cancel. You don't want it to like recoil off of the ball. Now in terms of actually aiming your Kuxir pinch, it really depends on the angle that you're coming from. So if I want to shoot across, so I'm going to shoot the Kuxir pinch to the right side of the net from the left wall, it really depends on the angle. So this is actually a Kuxir that I scored going backwards. You can hear Unky's reaction.
Was that the one where it was like going backwards? These are
I don't want to save in the other team, but yeah.
You want to save them?
So I think if you want to shoot on the right side of the net, it's really about the angle that you come from for the pinch. So you can see that the wider the angle, the better you can shoot it across the net. But the stiffer the angle, you're most likely going to shoot it on the near post. So these are the Kuxirs that I score probably most often, where it goes to the same side of the net or the middle of the net. And you can get some real power on these. I think the fastest one I scored was 144 kph, which is, it's crazy to think about shooting that across the... Now, in terms of what part of the ball you actually want to pinch when it gets to the wall, it's almost a mix between like the left side of the ball and the bottom left side of the ball. So I'm almost tilting my card to hit this specific part of the ball right here, this bottom left part. Like if I were to draw and cut the ball in sections, you know, just draw like a cross through the ball, I'm hitting the bottom left part of the ball. And obviously this is a trial and error thing, so if you're hitting your Kuxir like way too high, then you might need to adjust, right? You need to find the perfect balance between the height of where you need to be actually pinching and what part of the ball you need to be hitting with the car. And the more that you actually tilt your air roll can determine the height of the pinch as well, which is very cool to think about. This is something you guys can mess around with on your own time. You can even shoot Kuxirs on the ground. I will show an example of that. So just to show you guys the consistency of this type of mechanic, this is a game Monkey and I played recently in 2v2, and you can see where I'm setting this Kuxir up on this side of the wall. You can see how I pinch exactly, and it ends up being a low Kuxir pinch, right? It's pretty low to the ground. It's not very difficult to save for the other team. They're on the back foot. This is a perfect time to be performing a mechanic like this, right? Because like I said, as soon as somebody sees you going to the wall, they expect a solo play. And so you can see he gets baited into the boost because he thinks I'm going to scoop the ball up. And then all of a sudden I'm Kuxiring the ball into his net. So you can see, again, it's on the same part of the wall. I'm doing the same exact shot. And you can see I go just a tiny bit more to the left. I'm not as spot on with this one. But it still ends up being the exact same type of shot, which is, it's funny to think about. So if you guys just want to practice the actual shot part of the pinch, I created a custom training pack just for you guys. So you can practice on the left or the right wall, whichever is comfortable for you. And I will have the code down in the description below as well. So let's hop into here. So again, timing wise, you guys want to be hitting it right when it goes up the border. And you can see this one goes all the way to the other side of the net. Just because I have a little bit of a wider angle when I actually shoot this. And there you go, the bottom left part of the ball has good height. Maybe could have had better speed, but it's still a Kuxir. And this is a mechanic you can do with pretty low boost as well. You don't actually need a lot of boost. I'd say 1 penny is good enough to actually get this Kuxir pinch off. Here's one on the right wall, I believe. Yep. And you can see it's just a very, very quick way to punish somebody in 1v1, especially when they're this close to you. They're staying this close on the ball, and they actually allow you to get it up on the wall. It's a very, very good way to punish somebody. And finally, I have a 3v3 example for you guys. There are players out there that are capable of saving this. Even in 3's game, I think it's more often somebody will save it more than not. Just because there's almost always a third man who's ready for something like this if you're playing a third man position, right? Probably my most consistent, and it makes sense because it was the very first, like, quote-unquote mechanic that I learned. I learned it when I was in gold, because I used to watch Kuxir do it all the time, and I was like, oh my goodness, I need to learn how to do that. And so this is the game where I actually hit the Kuxir pinch 3 times. Or I hit it twice in this game, and then I think me and Toodles had a rematch. You can see the players just don't expect it. Even here, I have low boost after this chow, right? You can see I get 1 penny here. And because he goes for the boost and lets the ball roll up the wall, I can see the setups happening. And this one actually ends up going pretty high, but you can control how much speed you actually put on this. So even though it's a higher pinch, because I kind of pull back on my flip, which is, it's hard to explain. I'll explain that in the flip manipulation video. I feel like people don't know that you can control how much power you're actually putting behind your flip. But you can definitely control how much power you actually put on this Kuxir pinch. And here you go again at the start of the game. You can see all three Kux pinches are on the same part of the wall, right side, which should be my weak side of the wall. And you can see it just becomes a tool. I'm sure it's very annoying, especially in ones when your opponent is just capable of putting it in your net every single time you're near the play. And I remember this was during stream, and he was getting pretty tilted at me for basically being a one-trick pony. But yeah, ladies and gents, thank you guys so much for watching, and best of luck learning this mechanic. Just practice, practice, practice. For those of you guys that don't know, I am also a streamer over on Twitch. I've had a few of you come over from YouTube already, but for those of you that want to stop by and talk to me or ask me questions in real time, feel free to check it out. I appreciate you guys so much. Much love as always, and I will see you guys in the next one or on stream. Peace.